Hey guys, Fenwick College angler Ryan Z here. I've come down to this small creek today to see if I can catch some small bass on a light finesse jig. I didn't want to travel far today. I didn't feel like going to the lake or going to my favorite pond or getting the boat out or doing any of that stuff, so I walked a few minutes from my house to this small creek, came down here where all this structure and all this wood cover is, and I'm going to see if I can catch myself a small creek bass today, so stick with me, guys. So I'm just going to flip by all this cover right here where this slack water is in these deep pockets, and I know there's got to be a small creek bass just waiting for a nice tasty morsel to swim on by. Just going to pop it a few times. I got a rattle on here, so it's going to be making some noise underneath the surface. You can also drag your jig right across the bottom, making contact with all the rocks and debris that's on the bottom of these small streams. Sometimes they tend to be runoffs from roads and other things like that, so there can be debris on there you can get hooked up on. But for the most part, it can be very, very rewarding. Okay, so say the first spot you tried to fish didn't necessarily work out. That's okay. Don't be afraid to relocate. These small streams and rivers are easily affected by rainwater, and even the slightest bit of rain can make the water fluctuate by a couple inches. And fish from upstream are constantly coming into new areas, so that leaves the fish population always fresh and revived. Also, take note of when it rains. If it rains the night before, the water over where you're going to fish might not necessarily be high at the moment. Wait 2 or 3 days. The water from upstream will come down, flood the areas that you're fishing, bring in a new fish population, and you'll be ready to go. Ah, too bad. Now, as you saw there, that was a perfect example of how when you put your jig in slack water where there's cover next to you, these bass almost can't resist these small jigs. It's a tiny morsel of food, and they see this crawfish swimming by and they just snatch it up. That was a good 2-pound bass, guys, out of this small little creek. Did you see that? Don't be afraid to get down here. It's awesome. All right. You might be wondering, what kind of gear am I going to throw with these small jigs in a small creek like this? You really don't need anything too heavy. What I have here is a Fenwick Elite Tech Bass 6'6" medium action bait cast rod. I paired it with the Fluger Supreme on 14-pound monofilament. You really don't need anything too big. You're not casting long distances, you're mostly just doing small flipping, and all you need is just enough to get these fish away from these small hang-ups. Like I said, these jigs, this is no more than maybe a 1/4 ounce jig, and I threw my favorite trailer on it. I also added the rattle, so that does add a little bit of weight, helps with casting, and helps with avoiding the bird's nest. Alright. Like I said, don't be afraid to relocate. I did catch that fish over there, and he got off at the bank most likely scared the other fish into biting, and nothing else was going to bite over there. So I did relocate to another deep pool, not too far from where the other one was, and I'm going to see my luck. I'm going to see if I can get another creek bass for you guys. Just stick with me. Alright guys, that's it. I guess I fished them out. I wasn't able to catch any more fish out of this little creek for today, but that's okay, because that's why they call it fishing and not catching. So just remember to always keep an eye on the water levels. Deep water is key, but shallow water can help you visualize what your bait looks like underwater. So take all the information you can get, go out there and see what you could catch. This is Fenwick College Angler Ryan Z here. I just want to remind you, Fenwick, feel the action. Thanks guys.